Paul, it's been a wonderful week here in Hudson, Ohio. This is the Ascent Festival, and it is on the campus where I guess the old Encore.
Apparently,
used
I
to-
always wanted to go,
Yeah,
but Carlos has been here, who is the cellist in my quartet, has been here for like 10 years, so he was so excited to come back.
yeah, and this is the Catalyst Quartet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a real thrill playing together, and you have a beautiful, beautiful viola here, and I look over at it and I'm reminded of Michael Tree, and it's such an interesting and unusual shape. So please tell me about your viola.
Okay, of course. So the maker of my viola is, of course, Hiroshi IIzuka, who is a Japanese fellow that actually came over to the U.S. He was originally into Japanese woodworking. I don't know if you knew that.
Huh. You mean like carpentry?
Yes, exactly, like traditional methods, and the grinding, the type of woodworking where things.
Yeah, they
fit
don't
together.
use metal fittings like screws and nails. So everything it's all tension based and has to fit perfectly.
So that was his original training, I think, when he was even before he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
But then he went to Germany to study, and then came over to outside of Philadelphia. So it's sort of like a little extra Philadelphia pride, the Izukas, because he sort of camped out there. But he ended up sending instruments all the way to the Berlin Phil, Kim Kaskashian had one, especially in the 80s. Like, these were like so hot.
Yeah.
And so Michael Tree had a somewhat legendary one, Giant. But one of the very interesting things about Izuka's cutout model like this, which is actually not as ugly as it's a beautiful instrument.
It's beautiful, yeah.
There's many cutout model violas that are meant to be more ergonomic that aren't aesthetically awesome and excellent. And so Izuka kind of took the Viola d'Amore model, which, the Viola d'Amores and some double basses already naturally have this shape.
Yeah.
So he sort of took that
even
as
with
inspiration.
with the double.
Well, the double curve
That's
is his own panache. And you know what? Some of his Viola d'Amore models have actually like maple leaf patterns. I don't know if you've ever seen those styles.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes he does the corners a little bit differently. Like even though you might have this d'Amore model, sometimes the corners might be a little bit more regular. But what they all have in common, right, is that the air volume that would have been here has been replaced here. And so you have the same amount of air volume as if it was a much larger viola, but then you have the ergonomic traveling.
Right.
And then also, I think what also gives this pattern its really unique sound is this bout is like actually rather skinny for how wide the whole instrument is.
So, so the bowing area is narrow, but it's got a large.
It's got a big booty, as we would say. And so, so it's a very unique, especially the d'Amore models, because he also makes a more regular model, which is just this husky, woody,
traditional style,
punchy. Yeah, and
I've never seen a traditional.
Well, it's
shape
it's semi-traditional.
Okay.
If you saw it, so Oricom plays on one, for instance.
Okay.
From Jerusalem Quartet.
Yeah.
And you probably would not have noticed unless you examined it that it is slightly smaller up here and slightly bigger down there.
Okay, which is a little bit like Tertis had a model.
Right.
Right. So interesting.
But these tend to be, at least in my descriptors, have a really unique kind of brassy quality but extreme warmth. So I think the big booty aspect makes them very, very ringy and very, very sort of like punchy and fat, but there's also something focused about it as well.
Yeah.
So very unique sound. It's sort of like it's this like very, very sort of tubby thing that's sort of like put through like some kind of like a laser beam or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How long have you had this viola?
I got this viola in 2016, and normally, Hiroshi just actually retired from making. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't.
Because he is very fond of, he's a beekeeper as well. So he's sort of retiring to take care of his bees. He's a really fascinating, amazing guy.
Wow.
So
does he use any like bee products, like in the varnish or anything, like wax or in
that
the
would be a
ground?
really great question to ask him. I bet you so, because if you have bought an instrument from him over the last few years, you'll go home with a little honey as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Sweeten the
Like,
pot.
exactly. So I had the viola since 2016. However, this is a 2009 viola and actually has a rather interesting story, because I was going into Hiroshi's shop thinking I'm going to commission a big viola.
Yeah.
Because I had played big violas all up until that point, and the Michael Tree viola is huge, so I just sort of figured this is the thing. And Hiroshi was like, I don't really prefer to make big violas.
Big violas, like 17.
17. Well, actually, he said his cap of what he thought worked really, really well in terms of big was 16 3/4. Because he said at that point he would always get this sort of not complaints, but you would run into this thing where the sound quality didn't have like echolocation. It didn't have the kind of cut that
focus
people want in order to be a well-rounded instrument. And so they were, so I was like, okay, that's a very interesting concept. So I went in thinking, okay, I'm going to go for the 16 3/4. And I also wanted to get one of the Oricom style ones, because I traditionally like that sort of Dasalo kind of sound, that like dark woody.
You were specifically looking for an IIzuka.
I was, at that point I was, because I had already done the whole shopping game of moderns. And I was getting a lot of bright violas. I was getting a lot of like lasery and, just they didn't have the kind of depth and like I said, that Dasalo chocolatey kind of thing that I wanted. So I had heard Ori's instrument, and of course Michael Tree, like enormous. So like I went in with the expectation, because if you commission an instrument, you don't necessarily have to take it if it's not up to your taste. So I was going in with the expectation of doing a commission, and he had a couple instruments lying around that were ready to go out to people. And a couple of the different models, actually Arnold Steinhardt's also had a big old viola, just like in the style of Michael's. That was in the shop too, so I got a chance to really feel the difference between the really big one, which, oh my God, it was like a school bus or something, like so much sound, but like you feel like dude, exactly. And then the other woody models were just so beautiful, but they were very similar to what I was playing on a Doug Cox at that point. It's just like so much woody resonance, and it was a Dasalo model. But like I was looking for focus. I was looking for that quality of like where the notes really had pitch, like really, instead of like that sort of that really effervescent, that sound that is so resonant you can't quite distinguish the pitch. I was looking for a pitchy, moldable instrument. So basically the opposite of something where you play it this way, you play it this way, it's a ho, ho, ho. Every time you play it, it's just gorgeous. I actually was looking for something that had flexibility and moldability, where it's like, oh, you hit that danger zone, but it gives you different color. Gives you different colors. So when I tried this, which he had this exact one, which was supposed to go out, to a violinist actually, it felt like with that moment in Harry Potter where like the wand chooses you. And I was like, I was not looking for a smaller viola. I was not looking for this model. And the voice spoke to me, and just the immediacy of that I had, like I would put in information into this thing and then it would come out like concretely. Was just that, it was a very like, aha moment. And even Hiroshi, he noticed the love and he noticed the sound and the vibe. And he was like, I'm not really supposed to do this, but this wasn't guaranteed to that other person, so I'll let you take it home and then let me know. And
love it.
I did all the shootouts in the halls and like with my other instruments, and it just was like, it was a winner.
That's a beautiful story.
And
I love like this kind of combination of, it feels like new and old, but it's like innovation.
Yes.
Plus viola d'amore.
Exactly.
like ancient forms. And he's done all these nice decorations on it as well, which kind of, it looks like a throwback, right? So can you talk a little bit about this? I'm in particular, like one thing I'm noticing is the piece of metal.
The little golden knob.
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, so the golden knob was for the original, whoever commissioned this viola originally, which I think Hiroshi told me that he was a student at Curtis, played without the shoulder rest. So, so Hiroshi customized a place for the rubber band so the little makeup pad that people use.
Oh yeah.
So that it could stay on there.
Because there's no corner.
Yeah.
Like sharp corner. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So that's one feature.
But it's such a nice, like, quirky personal feature, and it
Yeah.
doesn't affect the sound, right? It's
not as far as I know. I haven't tried taking it off.
Yeah. And tell me about the eye.
Oh yes. So.
The eye.
Yes, the eye in the scroll. So, not only is it aesthetically interesting, extremely interesting, but I actually think, I can't be sure he did this exactly for this reason, but I know what I love about it is that it makes the scroll much lighter. And so we know that the farther away your scroll is from here, the more sort of torque is going to bear down on you, and like, you know, so the lighter scroll just makes this absolutely a wonder to it. I don't know, have you ever, would you want to try putting up and feeling like just how light that, like, it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, totally. And also, like, I think this makes a difference as well, not having the weight.
Yeah, it's backloaded instead of front loaded.
Oh, that has a huge impact on the distribution of weight.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, that's remarkable. I had a viola once that was a lovely viola, and it had just a really beefy scroll, and I wanted to, like, take the scroll off, just cut it off, and just keep the fiddle, you know, and get like a little, like, just tuning pegs, but yeah,
it weighs you down, man.
Yeah, I mean, you can even tie it.
Michael used to play it like this.
Right, you could tie a balloon to it.
Oh, that's a viola joke somewhere.
Yeah, but it also happens to be, like, really kind of a beautiful feature.
Yeah, and you know what? I think, you know, might be wrong, but I think Hiroshi actually hangs the instruments in his shop through the hole instead of like on the scroll.
Yeah, nice. And what about this decoration, the tattoo?
Yeah, the tattooing. It's just a really beautiful, I mean, I think probably because he has all this expertise in that traditional stuff and also calligraphy. So he also does calligraphy and I don't know what the technical word for it is, but he actually has a Japanese crest that he has t-shirts that all of us Izuka fan club, we get a t-shirt and it has his special crest. You get,
wait. You buy a viola, you get a t-shirt, and honey?
And honey.
I mean, come on. It's like a package.
Yeah. But, and so he makes a crest that you can put inside of your case, which is just like this gorgeous, like, sun, very much in this sort of vein with the twirls and with the black and red ink work, but it's just, and so almost every viola will have a slightly unique touch. This particular fiddle has a very interesting story. So I call it the Phoenix.
Okay.
Because the previous owner, and I guess for the sake of privacy, I don't know his name, Hiroshi didn't tell me the story, but he actually passed away in a fire.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. And so the viola and the case was inside the house when it burned down, but the case,
oh my gosh,
protected the instrument. And the instrument came out unscathed, like from the ashes.
Wow. That's freaky.
It's freaky. That's why this story is worth telling, even though it's dark and but it's worth talking about. I think it was another reason why I was like, I made the plunge of like, I wasn't looking for small, I wasn't looking for this, and it's like, that's some kind of a sign, because his parents brought the instrument back to Izuka because they didn't want it just to go to waste. So they brought it back to him to sell.
Yeah. So is it named the Phoenix, or
because it literally rose from the ashes.
Incredible.
And you know, I would like to think maybe some of him, you know, the memory lives on in the fact that this instrument, the beautiful thing about this instrument, is going to outlive us all, hopefully.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's it. That's quite something. Yeah. Thank you.